and then, yeah.
Well, happy May, everybody. I feel like I want to say happy June, but I guess I have to be patient. I'm ready for the summer to come for sure. But so excited that we are here to continue our conversation around technology and fostering an innovative culture in a hybrid environment, because this really is our new normal. And so grateful for everyone that's able to join. What we're going to do is we're going to do a quick breakout, just the icebreaker, because part of our mission for SCIP is to make sure that we're extending and growing our community, our network. And so it's always a great opportunity just to touch base and get to know each other a little bit better. So here is the icebreaker for today. So we'll go into groups and you can give your name, your department, how long you've been at Stanford. And then just because life is precious, I thought it'd be cool to share 2 items that are on your bucket list. And if you don't have a bucket list, you should make a bucket list. Or what's the one thing you're excited about for this summer? So introduce yourself in your groups and then share either 2 items on your bucket list or one thing that you're excited about this summer. Any questions? Okay. With that being said, I will let, is it Selena or Ryan? Ryan, are you driving the breakouts or am I doing it?
Selena's doing it today.
Okay.
No, I got it. I got it.
All right.
Are you?
Okay. All right. So I know for many of you, that's the favorite part of the group, that we get together once a month and get to connect with one another. I do want to put a little plug in for this fall, for October. I know you all probably know about it already, but the Lean Healthcare Academic Conference, and I know I've mixed up those words, I'm sure. Lean Healthcare, no, it is Lean Healthcare Academic Conference, right. It is this October, and it's a nice opportunity for us to all get together in person. And so I do know that there's some interest in getting this group together in person during that event. So something to consider. And I know also abstracts are coming up. The due date is mid-June. So if you haven't already, get an abstract. I know several of you on this call are submitting abstracts. So get it in, because it should be really fun. Even if you don't get a presentation opportunity there, you can present a poster, and that's fun too. I did that last year. It's a good time. Okay, so welcome to this month's SCIP. I wanted to give everyone a sense of what we're covering this month. So last month, we had an opportunity to tee up the conversation of how do we foster an innovative culture in a hybrid environment. And the way that this started is we started with the article about Disney and their return to work policy. If you recall, there was this concept that Disney has, and others, that if you're not in person, you're not able to innovate. And so that struck me as not entirely innovative. So the question we posed was, well, can we do this, and how do we do this to create that water cooler culture in a hybrid environment? So we know that, of course, it takes more deliberate action, intentionality, than maybe bumping into each other in the hallway or while you're walking across campus. But we think it's possible. And so the conversation was really good last month. And I've included in the mural page that I'm going to share again. I'm going to put it in the chat right now. I've included in the mural page the article, so you can take a look at the article there. And then you can also feel free to hear the conversation of last month. But I'm going to share my screen now and share with you some of the things that we covered, so that will lead into what we're going to be talking about today. Okay, so bear with me here. I know you're going to be all in there looking at it. Feel free to do it. I'm going to take it off so you don't see all the cursors bouncing around. But what you'll see here in the is the agenda for today. We're going to cover large group discussion where we're going to share some tools. In a minute, I've asked some volunteers to share some tools I know they've been using for collaboration. And then also these are some quotes that I pulled out of some articles that that were on this topic, as well as this article prompt that we used last month. And then here is some of the notes from last month's meeting. So the discussion, things that people liked. You know, they loved the discussion that everyone had. They also loved the connection. They wanted more time on the topic. So that's why we're bringing this back this month. I want to share with you that we do value the feedback. After every session, we ask the I wish I wonder, and we provide that, and that feeds us into our next session. And also there'd be some interest in having an in-person meeting, which is what we're talking about doing in October. So I want to make sure you're aware of those things. So the idea this month was, okay, so what are some of the tools that we can use to be able to foster this innovative culture and build the culture across our entity, across our organization in this hybrid environment? Well, so I asked ChatGPT the question after we'd already set up some things, and here were some of the communication platforms: Slack, Microsoft Teams, Zoom, is what they came up with. Knowledge sharing and documentation, Confluence, Notion. Never heard of those, so I don't know if you've all heard of those. You can chime in. Virtual meeting tools. There's Google Meet, Cisco WebEx, or Miro. We're going to be talking about Miro today. We're going to be talking about, well, we're on Zoom. We're going to be talking about Teams, Slack, and then virtual water cooler tools. I asked it to find some of those. There's an app called Donut. It's integration with Slack, Sococo, virtual office space. There's project management tools like Trello, Asana, Monday.com, and then video messaging, Loo. Of course, there's others. We're also going to have, I've invited Colin to talk about the LinkedIn groups, because that's also an opportunity for us. So with that said, I also wanted to share with you, I'm going to poll all of you at the end of this. Once we've had a chance to hear from the individuals that I've asked, and then others. So some of you, like, I know Britt was just talking this morning about Canva, using Canva as a tool. Maybe that's not a collaborative tool, but there are tools like that. And maybe there is a collaborative aspect. So maybe you have some tools that you want to share. If we have time, we'd love for you to speak about those. And then what I'd like you to do as people are talking is I'd like you to be interactive here. So while you're listening to them and seeing the little demos, I'd like you to add your notes about things you liked, what you didn't like in each of these areas. Kind of just journal for us. So use this platform, and then as we add more, I'll go ahead and change these others to whatever we have. And then at the end, we're going to take a poll and see what people would like to use, because I'd like to apply it to this group. So we'll take a poll on which one we would like, or which ones we'd like to trial, and see how we can practice some of this stuff ourselves. And then, of course, at the end, we'll do the I like, I wish, I wonder. Okay. Groups assessment on value of in-person versus virtual. I don't know if we've done an assessment, Joy.
No, I didn't mean a whole assessment, but like in the conversation last time, was there some thought on how much like, well, we really should go back spend more time in person?
Yeah, I think that's mixed. I think it depends on what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
I think there are benefits to both, and I think that we were not necessarily looking for an assessment or a conclusion as much as understanding that this exists. How do we do it? How do we make the most of it? How do we build this community given what we have? At least my perspective, I think there are things that we can do virtually like this. We can cross borders and distance like we've never been able to do before. We wouldn't have been able to get all these different groups under all the different entities within Stanford and beyond in a meeting like this ever before. except for virtual. We do miss out on some of that personal touch interaction. So there is value to, of course, both of them. But there are some things that we can do that are extremely innovative that we weren't able to do before without the use of technology. So yeah, that's a quick overview of it a little bit. And I encourage you, if you do want to hear more about it, we do have the recording on the website. And by the way, just one other little plug. I was looking at some of the statistics of the website of SMCI, which is also an awesome resource for all of you, smci.org. That website, the second most visited page in SMCI, other than the homepage, is SCIP by a large number. So pretty cool. So it's being used. It's a resource for people, and this community is certainly growing and also working beyond the once-a-month meetings that we're all having. So what I'd like to do is I would like to, I would like to share a different thing. So I'm going to start us off. I'm going to share my Slack. So Colin helped me with this. Colin's on the screen here, or on our meeting today. But we had a need in our Stanford Medicine and Lean Six Sigma Black Belt training to be able to build community within that course. So to be able to share information, have chats. So Colin said, well, would it be okay if I set up this Slack channel so that we could have communication for the group and then talk about things, you know, share homework questions or general things. So I said, sure, let's go for it. So he created this, and then I've since taken it on, and we used it for our Black Belt training. So some of the things it has is different channels that you could communicate. So this was exam prep and next steps. There's general comments and questions that people have. We had introductions when we first started in the class. No one used it, but it was a nice idea. We also had Black Belt cohort optional reading. This is one that we used a lot, where we were able to drop in different examples of different books or websites, things that would be additional reading for the course. We also had it in Box, so we could use Box as a platform, but it was nice to be able to have this for those that were using it. I found that this tool was really nice, but I found it limited by who's actually accessing it. So I think we had about 9 people accessing it. So of course, any of these tools are only as good as how many people are engaging in it. But it was a nice tool in that it allowed for ongoing conversation in different, interest areas. I did create one for SCIP. It's not really live right now. I mean, it's there, but there's no one really using it. The limitation I find in SCIP is that I think there is a barrier to be able to access it if you're not within the entity that you set it up with. And I haven't figured out, I said SCIP, I meant Slack. And I haven't figured out a way around that yet. So that might be a barrier, but it's a nice tool. So anyway, that's a quick overview of Slack. Any questions about Slack at all?
Or Ryan, any feedback from folks who've used it or thoughts about Slack?
Ryan, I was just going to put a quick plug in. One of the things that I found helpful was the ease of communication with folks that was separate and outside of email. I get, somewhere around 500 emails a day. And so when I got a Slack message, I knew it was from one of like 20 people. And so I was like, great, I'm going to focus on that, or I have time in my day to get back to that. So it was nice for me because it helped me kind of to prioritize and see certain improvement messages or conversations for the Black Belt program separately. So just a thought. Yeah.
Well, Colin, you were like a super user on this. So like if I sent something to Colin on Slack, it was within seconds I got a reply. It was very quick. So in terms of that ability, if you are using it, it's a great platform. It's really, really nice. It does have some limitations, but it seemed like it was a nice tool to use. Okay.
Hey,
So
Ryan, before you move on,
this is good.
there's a question on the Slack section. The question is, are there any functions in Slack outside of just messaging and conversation?
Are there what? Wait, what?
Any other function in Slack outside of just messaging conversation?
Oh, there are all kinds of things it can do. It can launch, you could launch from Slack, you can integrate it with a number of other tools. I don't know all the functions of how to do all that, but it's a Salesforce platform. So I know that it integrates with all sorts of different programs. I don't know, I don't know all the details of it. Maybe Colin does, but I have had a chance to meet with the vendor contact for Stanford, had some time talking with them, and I've also seen some of the demos they have, and it's a nice tool. Colin, you have anything to add on that?
Yeah, I think it can do lots of things. I think it's just a matter, again, like you said, of who are the users, what's the thing that we are leveraging the software to try and solve for. So if it's polling, or if it's project management, or if it's, you know, you can use it for a lot of things.
Okay, thank you for keeping us on that, Joy. That was on the, oh, okay. People are taking notes. I didn't have that up, so thanks for calling it out, Joy. Okay, I'm trying to make this fairly quick fire. So since we've got Colin talked about chimed in on Slack, Colin, are you ready to share LinkedIn groups? And then after Colin goes, we'll go to Kim, and then we'll go to Shalisha after that. All right, we're good?
Okay, thanks, Ryan. So I'll share my screen, and then I'll try to keep it short. So wanted to show you guys a couple different examples of LinkedIn group pages. So here's one that some colleagues of mine and I are a part of. And this is an example where you can get invited into a private channel, or there's some that are public. This one is public. And so folks can log in and they can start a conversation. They can read some of the other conversations that are recently happening. They might, you know, find out about events or things like that that are specific to this particular group. So this is just one group, and you can see this one's fairly large. There's 19,000 members in it. Here's a channel that we started, for example, for the Black Belt program that Ryan was just mentioning. So this is 20 members of the group. Same concept. We've posted some videos and some other material here to, you know, kickstart the conversation, because I do think that's one of the great things about LinkedIn is that if you're already here, you can be participating in a conversation that then spreads information, spreads ideas. Whereas Slack, I think one of the limitations is that it's only for that small group of people who are in Slack. You know, those ideas are not necessarily going to share more broadly. And I'll give you an example of how these ideas can share. So many of you may be familiar with Karen Martin. She is a renowned improvement specialist and also an educator and a speaker. And so a couple months back, Karen was posting about a book that she was a part of called Value Stream Mapping. And this was on the LinkedIn discussion, and a number of folks started jumping on the discussion, and then it started to kind of pick up a lot of attention and get multiple reshares and some comments, and the comments then were getting reshared, and it got really interesting. And so what Karen did to capitalize on that conversation that was starting was that she actually posted a free Zoom session and said, hey, for all you people who have been following this thread and this really interesting discussion, let's actually get together for Zoom and talk about it. So they did that. She hosted a discussion of value stream thinking with these groups, and it was a debate. Some of the folks who had differing opinions were there as well. And then she intentionally offered a networking session at the end of the event so that folks who were coming from all over the internet were able to connect and share their story with each other and use LinkedIn then to stay in touch. And so I think that's kind of the model that Ryan and I were chatting about, is that one of the benefits of LinkedIn groups is being able to catalyze that conversation that then can share and spread more broadly on behalf of our improvement professionals here at Stanford. Any questions?
Colin? Any thoughts? I mean, I'm seeing some of the notes.
I had a question, Ryan. I just wonder how you members of this call decide, like, there's just so many of these opportunities. How do you discern like which one is worthy of your time? Because I accept all the people who want to join the SMCI LinkedIn page, and then that immediately like generates tons of other invitations to join other pages, and just like, how you decide what to follow and what to not follow. And I will, as anyone on this call who knows me, I am not on social media, so I am a dinosaur. So maybe that's a silly question because all of you are toggling all this all the time.
I think it's a good question. I think we don't have unlimited time, and so being discerning in terms of what you choose to focus on and what you don't, I think is important. And so, like, if you were overly, I guess, subscribed, now you're being able to filter through all of that and have it useful is going to be diminished. I think that goes to Colin's point on, if people were to contact him in Slack, he knows that that's already filtered. So it would be a good way to be able to know if that's something you should reply to. I don't know, Colin, you want to address that with LinkedIn groups? If there is a way, I mean, like, if you got a LinkedIn group response, that wouldn't be as immediate of a response as something through Slack, right?
Right. Yeah, Lisa, I think you make a great point. People are using LinkedIn more and more for professional development, for engaging in conversations about topics that are interesting. It's less controversial than Twitter or some of the other social media platforms that are out there. It's more polished, more professional, because people's face is attached to their account. Many people pay for the privilege of being able to contact other folks. So in some ways it is kind of selecting for the right types of conversations where Stanford wants to be and where improvement professionals can learn and grow. So it's not perfect. There's drawbacks for sure, but to me, it's something that's very rewarding. I get a chance to connect with folks that I wouldn't otherwise come into contact with, and then stay in touch with them. So I've built a number of longstanding personal relationships with folks, where we even meet in person, that started on LinkedIn through understanding their background and some of the posts. And I think that's actually a key piece of the learning opportunity for improvement professionals, is learning how to catalyze that conversation so that we become active users instead of passive users. Instead of just kind of liking things and sharing things, we're actually putting our thoughts down on paper, taking that risk. So I think there's some benefits there if the group decides that it's worthwhile.
Thank you.
There are a lot of key points there, Colin. Thanks. I think the idea of not being a passive user of it, if we are to engage in something like this, we've got to be vulnerable and put ourselves out there and put some thoughts out there. That is a little scary sometimes, especially with a platform like LinkedIn that's so out there. So that is a consideration, but it's also an opportunity to be able to market what we've got here to more people. So it's certainly a great idea. Okay, for time's sake, we need to move on. Let's go to Teams. Kim is going to share Teams with us.
Yeah, hi everyone. All right, I'm going to share my screen really quick. Let's see. Screen one. Okay, so I don't know how familiar everyone is with Teams. If you've tried it, if you've seen it. What I wanted to show you guys today was kind of the improvement team of how we have this kind of set up, some of the functionalities, some of the positives and some of the drawbacks. So this is Teams. What this is you can have various channels or teams, if you will, and create collaborative spaces to work together. So our improvement team, I created one. What it can do is collaborate across the house. So currently, if it's created with an SHC email, all other email addresses can still access these channels via guest. And it doesn't have to be a Stanford email address. It can be a Gmail, an Outlook. It can be open. It can also be a public channel. Although I haven't tested that functionality in terms of what does public mean. The functionality is there from what I'm reading. And with Teams, the opportunity for direct chat is there. The opportunity for kind of forum-like posts is there as well. So you can imagine some of the topics that are being addressed on either LinkedIn groups or on Slack could also translate here to continue that discussion. What's great about Teams as well is it integrates with OneDrive, which is a file management system. So let's say SCIP has some best practices templates or things that they want to share with the community that doesn't need to be blessed by some governing group or anything like that. There could be a structure for that. There's opportunity to connect external websites like Mural, like Smartsheet, and any of the other websites, essentially. And some of the good things about this is within each team, you can create multiple channels. So we have a general channel. We have a water cooler channel just to kind of keep things fun. And I'm trying to build traction with this on our team. So as you see my face a lot here, or you see Brian as well. But there's a channel for just random things that the team wants to share. So I'm going to shamelessly plug in my daughter here, but I just wanted to share with the team what we did over the weekend. So, I mean, it's a way to just kind of add that personal touch to this environment. But there's also opportunity for private team channels. So let's say there's a subgroup that's working on various things that they need to work through, but need the connection to the larger team when ready to share. That's there as well. I think the number of drawbacks here are the learning curve with this. There's a lot of functionality here. There's a lot to click around. With teams kind of building traction within the organization as well. I think many people are going to start seeing more and more teams kind of populate in their channel or their application. So being invited to many channels, it can start to look like a lot. So similar to what Lisa was mentioning, how do you decide what you want to join or what you want to keep, what's of value? And that kind of segues into the second portion. Your application is only as valuable as the people who are willing to collaborate and speak up, essentially. So working on that in a number of these channels, but at a high level, that's Teams, and happy to answer any questions or maybe click around if anyone has questions.
So Kim, there's a question for guests without license. Teams as video platform is very limited and not great UX. Can't utilize meeting chat. So like, are there limitations for? I know with video, so I think we're all aware of that. But for this platform, for functioning as the chat and the files and all the other things, are there limitations that you're aware of?
Not so much. I think one of the channels that I created, there's a mixture of SHC folks and School of Medicine folks. I don't think there are any children's folks in there just yet, but my assumption is that as long as you're invited to that team using whatever email address you have, you can log in and be able to use it completely. But I guess I haven't tested the video function on guest access. So maybe some things to figure out still. But access wise, in terms of posts, documents, it's definitely there.
And Lisa asked about direct chat. You can, Lisa, direct chat people. There is the option for sure. In fact, I use, so the nice thing, at least for me with Teams, if it's integrated already within your, if it's being used elsewhere, it definitely pops up when I get a Teams. I suppose I could mute those, but I don't. So like when I get a chat directly, I see it. So I can decide if I want to respond or not. And then I'm pretty sure that the one that's most active pops to the top. I can't remember exactly. At least with the chats, I think that's the way it works.
Yes.
So it does kind of triage it a little bit or prioritize it a little bit for you. Yeah. And then Jen said you can hide a team if you want. So there's that too. Yeah, chats can interrupt meetings at work. Yeah, so you can turn off the chat. Yeah, there is a way to do that while you are in the meeting. There is a function within Zoom as well as other features that you can mute those, so you're not getting all those notifications. Especially when you're presenting, it's really annoying if you've ever had that happen. Yeah, distracting as anything. Okay, awesome, Kim, that was great. Thank you. Let's go to Shalisha is going to be talking about Miro. Miro, like Mural, like what we're using right now, we're using Miro, but Miro is a new tool, very similar. It's an opportunity to collaborate, but she's going to talk about how that's been integrated with some of these other tools. Shalisha, you're up.
All right. Yeah, if you've seen Mural is very similar. There are some differences I've noticed, but just another tool for your toolbox. I can walk you through how I have personally used this. I don't know why, but somehow at IP, Interventional Platform, we changed from Mural to Miro just over time for some reason. So I have quite a few boards, many teams I work with who have used this, but just to go back a little bit, like many of you, I'm sure, during the pandemic, I was looking for a way to kind of do something where it's collaborative, it's interactive, engaging. And my first task during the pandemic was to do a workshop virtually, week-long. It was a surgical scheduling workshop. So we had all types of stakeholders. We even had surgeons the full time. And at that point, I had only done in-person workshops for a full week. So I was like, okay, well, how are we going to do like stickies and all of that? So actually, what's funny is I'm currently doing a value stream mapping workshop, but this time, instead of being completely virtual, it's hybrid. And I can walk you through what that kind of looks like here. So similar to Mural, you can do your stickies, you can do your boxes, do different colors and text. So we went through a value stream mapping from referral creation through procedure back to referral close. And so what's been exciting is that we've been able to share this board with other stakeholders that are not a part of the department as well. And the one tricky thing I've found is that if you are not given access to the board, unlike Mural, you can just share the link and people are able to edit. With Mural, you have to specifically add them, which can be kind of a pain at times. That's the one thing I really do not like about it. I do like the templates in Mural. Mural has a Mural verse, so you can go through their library here. There's different things, meetings, brainstorming, agile mapping. I've done swim lane mapping before, done decision trees, even did a SCIP. I can show you a few of the other boards I've seen on here. It's whatever the team is kind of working on. And different process maps, ranking of ideas, policy decision trees. So as you can tell, I have a bunch of boards up, so it's something I frequently use. Something when Ryan had asked about presenting Miro, I was like, well, if we're talking about community and building, actually what we're doing is this is just one piece of our communication system. So this is just the visual part of it. But with this interventional radiology team, we also have text channels, kind of similar to, not quite, but kind of like your Slack. You need a way to have instant messaging type of communication. So we use that. We also use our Teams, so that's more for file storage and our video calls and so forth. So it's kind of like a system that has been created with the team. And kind of like we mentioned, is, you know, it's whatever the team is going to adopt, right? Could we technically do everything in Teams? Probably, because there are some features in Teams that are similar, but I think due to just personal preferences, that's how some of the team has decided to adopt certain things, and that's okay. So just something to, as you all, you know, work with your teams, or even with this team as we're looking at community and building, that's something to consider. But yeah, as mentioned, kind of stickies, arrows, there's different colors you can choose from. You could hide pieces. of the board. Like say you're facilitating something, you don't want people to know there are 6 activities quite yet. You want to kind of go focus on one at a time. So you do frames where you can hide and reveal. You can upload files. There's app integrations as well. I haven't used this too much, but it's available. You can use different diagramming emojis. And there's, I mean, I'm definitely not the Miro guru expert, but there's all kinds of things in here. So just wanted to share that. Any questions?
Great.
All right.
I don't see any questions in the mural.
If you do have
no
any, feel
questions
free
about
to
Miro in the mural.
email, message. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone that had a part in that. I really appreciate you doing that. I want to take the next 3 minutes and see if there's any others that people have used that you particularly like in terms of collaboration or connecting with people in a virtual setting. Did we get them all? No, we didn't. Well, maybe that's good enough for us to at least have a sense of what we're working with. Let me do this.
I think another way that we didn't call out, just in terms of kind of water cooler-ish type thing, you can still Zoom and have a lunch, like a coffee hour, just one-on-one with someone.
Yeah, that's true. You're right, because that's, at least with our team, Joy. So our team, our department, our improvement team, we use Zoom all the time for that sort of thing, to connect with one another. And sometimes it's just messing around. Like we'll have a formal meeting, but the first half is just connecting. Kind of like what we do here, but with everyone. And we're just, we'll have maybe one person on the spotlight, we'll ask them questions, and then we get to have fun with each other in a virtual context. That's good point. Thank you. There is that old fashioned, like just scheduling a meeting and meeting with someone. Okay, I'm gonna send this poll out, and I'd like you, with the poll, you can choose as many options as you like, and we're going to use 1 or 2 of them for this group, and look for that, because we're gonna try to integrate this, and we'd like your feedback. So you can choose more than one, and Zoom happy hour. Yeah, okay. Thanks, Kim. Appreciate it. So we're looking like about everyone has answered. I mean, we're probably 1 or 2 short, but pretty close. So 70% pick Teams, 50% Zoom, 40% Slack, and 30% LinkedIn groups, and then Miro, which I expected. Miro and Mural are tools that really we use, but they're not really the collaborative platform or communication platform as much. So that makes sense that it's a little lower. So Teams seems like it got the majority. So what we'll probably do, I'll work with Kim. I think we've already set up a platform for Teams. We'll set something up and we'll start with that. And then LinkedIn groups, I still want to use that as more of a networking platform, see how that goes. So maybe we'll take those 2, because Slack is pretty much the same as Teams. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to have Jakaria share a couple announcements. Then right after she does, please don't go anywhere. Go ahead, and I want to hear from all of you on your I like, I wish, I wonder. So have that mural page available after Jakaria does her updates. Go ahead and put your feedback in, because again, we're wanting to hear more about next how to take this to the next level in future meetings. Jakaria is going to talk about next month and also one other announcement. Go ahead, Jakaria.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. So there's been a lot. Has everyone or anyone not used ChatGPT yet? If you have not, raise your hand. Me either, Lisa. They keep telling me to do it. But we know that ChatGPT is starting to become a gateway for a lot of things, including improvement science. And so I wanted to recommend that the June topic be ChatGPT. If anyone has experience in actually making the bot work for you, right? Because there's a certain sequencing in a way that you ask questions to optimize the outputs. Please let me know, but we would like to bring ChatGPT as the topic for June. So reach out. We're looking for experts or people that are at least willing to say what you know so we can share and learn together. The second thing is I just wanted to invite everybody out on June 16th to Juneteenth. It's in the Bass Promenade. It's being put on by the Beam team, but everybody is welcome. So there'll be emails coming out. Register. We're going to have food, music. There's going to be vendors. It's going to be lots of fun. So, and community leaders, the mayor of East Palo Alto, the city council person from Menlo Park. There's going to be a lot of people there. So we're just inviting everybody out to Juneteenth and to celebrate with the Beam team at the Bass Promenade. And the ERG group should be pushing out invites. I'll share as well through this group. That's it for me, Ryan.
Excellent. Okay. Well, we really appreciate your participation in this group. I know today was more of kind of presenting. We try to make this very interactive and value added for all of you. I hope that it was. I hope it was responsive to the requests that many of you had from last month about wanting more examples and being able to apply it. So we will apply it. We're going to immediately start applying what we came up with as a group. I put the poll results in the mural so you can see that. So it wasn't just me making it up. It was truly the results we saw. I have made up things. It is true. So fact checking me is appropriate, totally appropriate. Jakaria does it all the time. But please let us know if there's other things you would like to see or do. And if you'd like to be a part of the group that is planning the in-person get together at the Lean conference, Lean Healthcare Academic Conference, let me know, because I've got a few people already interested in putting that together. So reach out to me and then we'll get you plugged in, because this is really a community of all of us improving together, not just a few of us putting it on. So I appreciate all of your participation today. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you.
Yes, Sarah. Yes. On top of the mind.